Ryan D. Billy, why are the Anunnaki so prevalent in the ancient past, but now nowhere to be seen in the present day? Well, kind of covered that a little bit. They had a big war, and during that war, a lot of them left. This Earth, this planet became an abandoned seed colony. That's what this Earth became. It was a seed colony before the Anunnaki got here that had risen to its own high level of technological advancement, and then something happened, most likely a geological disaster, and that collapsed us. And then the Anunnaki came here, which are the Atlantean people, and they took advantage of our down or fallen state. We were back into caveman stages, and then or not that we were cavemen, but we were living off the land. We weren't technological at the time that they arrived. They took advantage of that. They took advantage of our ignorance, and they masqueraded as gods. So now in modern times, I mean, to us, they've been gone. To us, they've been gone for a long time. But in reality, it's only been not that much time at all, less than a blink of an eye, on geological timescales. And so the fact that these beings are still out there, probably still coming by, probably still watching and checking up on us, the ones who decided to stop by and take a look. Oh, look, we used to run this place. Now look at this. Look how they got it going now. And so it's pretty interesting. The Black Knight satellite could be transmitting updates to them on a consistent basis, telling them how far we've advanced and if we're taking weapons into space. Maybe that's a big concern for them. Maybe if we get to the point where we begin to take weapons into space, then they'll show up and we'll have somebody to contend with. But we'll see. The Johnny 374. Did the Anunnaki use industrial hemp? I don't know if it doesn't specifically say hemp, but it does show that they had access to marijuana, and they used to utilize they used to extract the oil from the marijuana. They didn't smoke it. They extracted the oil from it, the THC and the CBD, and they would mix it with monatomic gold and colloidal silver to make something called the elixir of life. And they would give it to the heroes of old, or they called them the savants. It would be for healing them, for healing wounds and organs and injuries, and keeping their mind clear and functioning properly, and all that kind of good stuff. So Guadalupe, when is the planet Nibiru passing through? So the planet Nibiru is so far away, and its orbit is so far away as it orbits its brown dwarf. It's not going to really have any effect on us other than a gravitational wave. That gravitational wave is going to create warming of ice caps and cores, and because it creates friction. And which could cause some slippage on some tectonic plates. Could see some extra earthquakes on its closest approach, but it won't collide with us. It won't collide with the planets in our solar system. It's not going to create a global disaster. It's not going to end life on the planet Earth, by the way. So just to let you know, if the gods were just dudes, what was the role of the prayer to them? So good question. This is Chris Badal. So what he's saying is this, that if these were just people, if these were flesh and blood people, why would they want prayers? Okay, let me tell you something. These people were so sick and sadistic. When they decided to begin to masquerade as gods, they really started to develop a god complex. You can see it as you're reading the tablets. Like when you first read the tablets, like when they first got here, versus as you're reading as time is going by, right, according to these tablets, how they become more self-righteous and commanding people to do this and commanding people to do that and bring me my food. The offerings was the food that they would eat. You learn this when you go to Egypt with me. They'll tell you, the pyramid priests will tell you, they would have people bringing offerings. It wasn't to the people that thought they were pleasing God, but what they were doing was bringing these people food to eat because they're not going to go hunting, man. They're not going to go hunting and go crops in a field. You bring it to them. And that became a ritual, which still goes on to this day. All right. You bring your first fresh meat. You bring your first harvest. That was their food. And so these people were just purely masquerading as gods. The prayers, in some cases, served a couple of purposes. One purpose, like, for example, the Lord's Prayer, which was Ptah's prayer, who was Enki's prayer. You know, the Lord's Prayer, that's not from any spiritual person in the Bible. The Lord's Prayer comes from Ptah. This is pre-dynastic Egypt. That's Enki. And the prayer is, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Forgive us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. But lead us not into temptation. You know, that prayer, well, that prayer is an ancient prayer. And the reason why they had these prayers was for one reason. One reason was to get the people to look up to them and praise them and give thanks to them, so that they felt like, if I give you a day off, or if I give you a little bit of leniency over here, or if I tell you, give you these shekels, you feel like you're getting something from the gods. You feel so happy and so blessed and pleased that the gods smiled upon you. It was more of a control thing. And in some cases, it was just more of such an ego thing. It was almost like, energy vampire. Like Marduk was an energy vampire. He got so crazy. He wanted nobody to worship Enki and Lil. He didn't want anybody worshiping Thoth. He didn't want all these other gods, quote unquote gods, that were out here, which was his cousins and relatives. He said, there'll be no other God but me, because I'm a jealous God. That actually made it into the Bible. So these people became completely self-righteous. But here's where they screwed up. In the text, they say the creator of all we have to reckon with the creator of all for what we did here. We're going to have to reckon with the creator of all for what we did here. So they knew there was a creator of all. They didn't say God. They called it a creator of all. So they knew they weren't it, even though they were pretending to be it in some cases. So pretty interesting stuff. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. Don Solo, Billy, what do you think of Enki, aka King Yahweh? Is he back? So Enki is actually not Yahweh. Enlil is actually Yahweh. So there's been a little misconfusion there with who is which. So when you go into the tablets, you discover that Enlil is actually Yahweh, and Enlil was the one that was treating people harshly and evil. And then when he almost got kind of caught doing it, he started blaming the evil acts that he was doing to people, to humans, on his brother Enki. And then he started to call his brother a serpent and a snake and Satan, the devil, and everything else, because people started calling Yahweh Satan, the Lord of Eden, because he was the Lord of Eden. And he was like, no, he's the evil one, him. So he was like, he started to try to put the blame on his brother. Cold World, is Enki or Enlil Marduk's father? Enki is Marduk's father. So Enki is responsible for Amun-Ra. So if you say Amen at the end of your prayer, they got to thank Enki's his offspring for that one. Okay.
By Compendium of the Emerald Tablets by Billy Carson.